Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Energized, Empowered Professional Women Summit. I am so happy to see all of you here, whether you're watching live or on the replay. You are so welcome into our summit, into our net of women who are here to share our experiences and our love with you. We are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So it's really exciting to have all these platforms here streaming in. And it has been an absolutely amazing summit with all our speakers who have been pouring in their love and their experience and just their tools and everything about it. And I am so grateful for all of you who are listening in, past, present, future, because all of us make this summit, all of us make this net of women, of people who are here to support each other, that you are not alone, that there is so much out there in our world that that can and have affected us and will affect us. And it is only through our support of each other and our love for ourselves that we are able to get through all this, that we are able to deflect whatever is thrown at us and to come out to be that energized, empowered woman that we are naturally inside of us. So I'm so excited here to welcome you to this beautiful summit. And there are recordings. There's a recording for each of these interviews, so you can re-listen to it. You can share it with your friends. And we have the comment section. If you're watching live or even on the replay, type in your comments, type in your aha moments, type in love, type in questions, because we will be looking at those comments even after the summit has ended, because we want to support you at all times. And things come up when you live your day by day. And so just pop them in and we will be able to support and love you. And we're going to have a raw and real conversations in this summit to identify, communicate, heal, and prevent burnout. And we have some amazing bonuses from all our speakers and as well. And that's all on the website for the summit that I invite you to register, because we're going to be putting more bonuses in. And I will be thinking of doing more workshops as well. But besides that, I'm getting so excited about this beautiful net of women. Let's start our summit. And so for the 5th day of the summit, our last day, we have Patricia Bannan. I am so grateful she's here. I'm so delighted, and you'll see why. So hi, Patricia.
Hi, Vanessa. I'm so grateful to be part of this. I've been listening to some of the interviews, and what you've put together is so wonderful and I think very, very powerful. And I love how you've really taken so many different topics. I've learned so much myself.
Oh, thank you so much. And this is all part of my healing journey, where I explored each of those topics. And then I thought, how am I going to bring this to the world? Because women are challenged with our name. Subconsciously, we don't realize that until we actually are aware of it. So it's an awareness. And then from that awareness, there is a journey that's associated with each of it. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
So I came across Patricia's work when I started to look into nutrition and how it was helping to support in burnout. So of course you do the Google nutrition burnout thing, and Patricia came up, and I was completely floored by, firstly, her smile on there, and I'm like, I just instantly connected with her. And also what she has done and what she has brought to the world in her book and all her interviews, which I will, go through, because I really want everybody to realize how amazing she is and why nutrition is so important. And she will bring her story in it and her experience and her knowledge, which is absolutely amazing. But for my perspective, being a scientist and understanding that our whole body system is a huge chemical factory, and how do we feed it, how do we nurture it is all really important. And then there's topics bantered around like gut microbiome and what do we put in our bodies, and everyone's there's so much stuff out there that I thought, let's get someone who is in this field, who has supported many, 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 many women in this, through her books, through her talks, through everything, to speak to us. And Patricia said yes, and I went yes. So here we are. I'm so excited, and I'm just going to introduce her. And so Patricia is a nationally recognized registered dietitian, nutritionist, healthy cooking expert, captivating communicator, absolutely inspiring millions of people to eat and live well. She is known for developing segments for television, writing articles for magazines, and her work as a spokesperson to leading health-minded companies and organizationals nationwide. Oh God. And she's inspiring millions of people to eat and live well. And she's conducted more than 2,000 media interviews, including guest show appearances on the Today Show, The Doctors, ABC News, Fox News Channel, and CNN. She's written for and been interviewed by the Oprah magazine, People, Shape, Glamour, Parents, Men's Health, and Good Housekeeping. She serves as a contributor to Thrive Global, a leading behavior change technology company on a mission to end stress and burnout epidemics, which is fantastic. And in her nutrition expertise, Patricia received a professional chef certificate from the New York School of Cooking in Los Angeles. And she uses her culinary skills to develop recipes, shoot cooking videos, which I love cooking, and teach clients how to make healthful changes in their lives, starting in the kitchen. So impactful. Thank you. That's where I started too. And she graduated cum laude from the University of Delaware with a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics, and completed her dietetic training at the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. And she's received a Master's of Science in Nutrition Communication from Friedman School of Nutrition Science and Policy at Tufts University in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm saying this is because she's got so much experience around nutrition, and when she's not traveling the world talking about nutrition, Patricia's at home in LA with her husband and her kids and her Labradoodle, Pablo, which I really love. That's the part I really love too. So welcome, Patricia, and thank you for joining us and presenting on Eat Well, Live Well, Nutrition and Wellness Strategies to Boost Your Energy and Joy even on the busiest days.
Vanessa, thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be part of this summit. As I said, what you've put together is transformative, I think, for so many people. And I've listened to some of the interviews you've done. It's nice to be day 5. Probably nice for you to be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But I've learned so much. It's really interesting, the different topics you've put together.
Oh, thank you so much. So let's dive in. What was your experience with burnout? How did you start? You got to write the book as well.
Yeah. So for me, my daughter's almost 6, and so when she was around 1, I was on a family holiday in Sedona, Arizona, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like these beautiful red rocks, and it's a spiritual place. It's kind of like a healing place, just beautiful nature, and it allowed me to unwind. And I started to unwind. I remember sitting on a rock with my husband after a little hike and thinking, wow, I am exhausted. And reflecting on the previous few years and realizing how many challenges there were, financial challenges. We had gone through IVF to have our daughter, uncertainties in so many ways. And it was that, as we do when we're in burnout, we don't even know we're in it, right? We're just plowing through. You feel like you're in survival mode. You just got to keep going. And then, of course, that pressure as women we put on ourselves to just, you can do it. You have to do it. Keep pushing. And so it was trying to get through all these hurdles. And then I realized things were in a good place. Like, I wanted to create a nice blended family, and that was in a good place. And I had this beautiful daughter who was healthy, and all these things. And so then it was like, wow, that feeling almost like after you've crammed for an exam and then you can kind of relax and
Mm-hmm.
reflect and realize like, wow, I'm really spent right now. But
Yep.
my exam had been years. So I think that was when I first had this aha moment that I had been in burnout, and therefore my physical, spiritual, everything about my being was still in that state. And so it was, for me, the first step, I think, for anyone is just the awareness. And then
Mm-hmm.
what do I do with this now, right? So then for me, it was just slowing down and this back to basics lifestyle and eating. And the surprising thing to me was I started talking to other women about it. And I found that almost everyone I spoke with either had had an experience with it or they were in it as I was talking about it. So I started to research it, found that it was an epidemic in the United States as well as, so many parts of the world. And that it affected women not only more often than men, men certainly have burnout, but it also affected them differently. Like they're more prone to sleep disorders and mood disorders and certain
Yep.
things. And so that really sparked my idea to write the book.
Wow. That's incredible. And I I'm taken by what you just said there, where I want to emphasize to everybody here that people think, oh, burnout's only in the workplace or it comes from the workplace. I personally
Mm-hmm.
feel that, and speaking to all of you, and you've just brought this really important point up, that burnout is not necessary. It doesn't come. It's part of it. Workplace stress and how it triggers you is part of it. But a lot of burnout comes from just the the sort of the, I guess we call it the hamster wheel of looking after family. Maybe you're a carer for someone full time, and also and having all these things put on you at all times that you don't have, as you said, you're like doing an exam or consistently all the time, and you're having no rest from it all, and you have no time to rejuvenate and re-energize, so to speak. And that then leads out to literally burning out because you've spent everything in your body or your and all your reserves. So thank you for bringing that up. That's not only in, that it is in our life too that we are burnt out.
Yeah, that's so true, Vanessa. And the World Health Organization's probably come up in terms of their definition of
Yep.
burnout, which is workplace related. And to me, it's like three toasters or one toaster with three little pop-ups of bread. And burnt bread comes out of each of them, right? And one is your workplace dynamic, which can cause burnout. The other is your personal life, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, family member with some chronic disease or whatever it might be that you're having financial troubles, whatever it might be. And then the third one is what I call personality type, or that voice in our head that is like, you're never enough, whatever it is that pushing us to strive beyond what feels good anymore and what creates any sort of balance or joy in our lives anymore, that push, overachieving mentality. And so it can be one of those, or in my case, the perfect storm of all three, which I think a lot of people experience. And I don't think you can categorize it. I mean, we're holistic beings. It's all intertwined. Each one affects the other.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that analogy of the toast. I love analogies. I'm a big story person, so that's fantastic. I love that. Thank you. That's fantastic. I really gel with that. And so I'm interested to know. You've had this experience and you want to help people. So why did you then choose to write the book From Burnout to Balance? So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I did the research and I found that it was an epidemic, and from a health standpoint, what do you do about it, right? How do you
Mm-hmm.
recharge? And so initially it was actually a cookbook. But then when the publisher came on, and I'm so happy they did, they really said, let's make this deeper and more encompassing. So it's part health book and part cookbook. So there's 60 plus recipes, but the first part of the book really dives into the four core areas that women are hit hardest, which is mood, immunity, focus, and sleep. And so there's nutrition remedies and lifestyle advice for each of those areas that we really struggle with, because when you are burnt out, keeping it simple as can be, is part of the recovery, right? Part
Yeah.
of getting that spark back. So that allows you to kind of just dive into that category that you feel like you're most struggling with, rather than trying to do everything at once.
Yep. Yep. And I like that you've put them into these very separate categories so that people can, as you said, they have various varying points in their life where one is more, I guess, prominent in their foremind than the others, and then they'll work on it. And the other thing I really like about what you said is just small steps. Not let's not do it all at once. Type A personality, of course.
Yeah, right.
But small steps, and I think that's probably one of the biggest take home messages that we have. I love it. So all these recipes that you've been, because I'm a foodie and all like doing that. So they are what are they? Are they designed to really promote health, to be more easily absorbed? What are these recipes that you've shared with the world through your book?
Yes. So the recipes are very plant-centric, plant-focused. It's not a vegan cookbook. I do have exceptions for eggs, dairy, although you can always do a plant-based substitute if you choose, and seafood because of those omega-3 fatty acids. If you don't like seafood, you can always take a supplement, but that, omega-3s, DHA and EPA in particular, is so important for our brain health and other things. So those are all in the recipes. And then in those chapters, I talk about, I have like a cheat sheet, top 25 foods for mood or for immunity, or for sleep. And then the recipes really bring that to life in the kitchen. How do I create that? Now, of course, there's crossover, right? I mean, those 4 categories are all interconnected, right? But what it does is it allows you that simple starting place where you're like, I'm just feeling so anxious, just start with the mood, or I'm sleep problems. But of course, again, any step you take in any one category is going to help the others. And that's true on our plate as well, right? So any food that or nutrient that helps in one area, it's a holistic dynamic. But that's how the recipes are. I will be honest in that it's a challenge when you do a cookbook, because you don't want to keep it so simple that people feel like, I already know this, you're not giving me anything new or exciting to try. You also, particularly when you're going through burnout, don't want to make it so complex that someone feels like it's a burden or it's too much. So I created in each recipe what I call like a supercharger ingredient. So it's your base recipe, but then there's this supercharger. It could be as simple as, adding a hard-boiled egg to a salad for more protein, as simple as adding turmeric or an herb or spice. But it's basically something that you can add for an additional boost of nutrition. But if you don't have it, or you don't like the food, you don't have to run out to the supermarket and go get it. Like, the recipe works great, because I hate it. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you're following a new recipe and there's that one ingredient you don't have. and that does not decrease stress. You're like, oh, I got to go to the market, or I got to wait without it, and I'm not sure if it's going to come out as good. So that's kind of how I set it up, to have different levels, I guess, of how you are in the kitchen in terms of your knowledge and skill set and desire to cook super basic, or a little bit more like moderate chef level.
Awesome. I'm definitely getting the book. It's on its way. Apparently, I'm still waiting. But that's all right. This is awesome. I'm going to really enjoy this book and share your recipes with my friends and clients. And coming then from this book now that we're talking about, and your experience and everything around it, what foods and nutrition strategies then can help women heal from burnout?
Yeah, I think we talked about, starting simple. I'm not a fan of diets in general, because anything you have to go on in a stringent way, you go off, right? It's more about lifestyle. And so you mentioned the key thing, it's these little habits. So I'm very keen on these micro habits that you can create in your life that start to feel as effortless as brushing your teeth. You don't think about brushing your teeth every morning and every night. It's just so, autopilot. So what are those
Mhm.
simple things you can do where you're going to get a nice return on your wellness that feel good? And then it can be like a minute a day, and then you build from there. So I just did this with my husband recently where we started testing this ourselves. And I said, what's one thing you could do that if you did every day as a habit would transform your life? And he's very tall, he played sports, for him, he said, if I could just stretch for like 20
Mm.
minutes a day. And I said, could you do it for 1 minute? And so would that help? And yeah, it would. So when would you do it? You talk through it. When would you do it? What happens if you're interrupted? So now he has a routine where every morning the alarm goes off, he kneels down on the floor, he does his 1 minute stretch. And he's never
Yep.
missed a day since we talked about this
Wow.
on our walk. Yeah, and it's really, you don't think about it because it's just 1 minute and then you build from there. I did it myself where I thought, what could I do? And I'm not good with meditation, but yet I
Mhm.
want more mindfulness in my life. I need more mindfulness. And I thought, what could I do? And I would love to do, like a half an hour stretching or mindfulness exercise each day, but that's a lot to take on and commit to. And so 1 minute, can we start with 1 minute?
One
And
minute.
for me, what does that 1 minute look like? And so for me, it's every morning I wake up, I immediately do that 4 count box breath where
Yeah.
you,
Yep. Yep.
yes, you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold it, you exhale for 4 seconds. And so it's the mindfulness exercise. And so easy. I do it every
Yes.
morning. I don't think about it. So things like that. And you can do it with food as well. It
Mhm.
can be, strategies if you want to switch to, herbal tea at night or something that's going to help you sleep. And then how do you create that habit? So again, it's effortless. Like, do you put the teacup, on the counter in a certain place? Do you put the tea bag out? Like, what are those
Yes.
things you can do to just make it so simple on yourself and build from there?
Wow. That's incredibly powerful. Absolutely powerful. 1 minute. That's it. Or just thinking slightly ahead and just putting it. And that's that's kind of actually no thinking about that. That's kind of what I've done in my life, and that's really helped
Uh,
me. Particularly that when I'm in a breathwork facility, so you kind of like you think I should do breath, shoulda, coulda, woulda, that sort of thing. And I'm like, well, days where I can't spend half an hour to an hour doing
mm,
breath work because of various reasons.
yeah.
But I wake up now in the morning, I put my hand on my heart,
Mm,
and I give myself a big cuddle in bed, and I go, I love you. I love you.
uh,
I'm so grateful for you. And that's my 1 minute. And it really, wow. So you brought that up. I love it. It just came to me then. Thank you, Patricia. And
yeah, I love that, Vanessa. And I love, the first thing in the morning too, because it just sets
mm,
your day.
yep, yep, it does. And so that's what you would do with nutrition as well, where you just make just something simple to start off with and to make that difference in your life. Is like as you said, having that cup of herbal tea, put that cup on the bench, and would that also that's also you know that's also a strategy for in terms of nourishing yourself. So for instance, if you feel that eggs are going to be your thing, that helps very quickly, you would like pre-prepare hard-boiled eggs or something. Is that how you would do that?
You know, Prepping is a big part of it too, making it so easy on yourself. You can even buy them hard boiled if you want to add that type of protein to your meals. And then one of the things is just to stock your kitchen with healthy ingredients where you can pull together a healthy meal in seconds. Fresh fruits and vegetables are wonderful, but they perish very quickly and they
Yeah.
can be more expensive and financially can be part of the burnout dynamic as well. So, having things like canned beans, canned lentils, uh,
Okay. Yep.
canned tuna, and low sodium soups, and things that whether you eat them, you couple them together, or you just mix them with those fresh ingredients, which are a lot of what the recipes are, that you're just making it easy on yourself. Having those healthy whole grains, microwave brown rice or quinoa in 3 minutes. Those types of things are just going to make it easier for you to nourish yourself. And I mean, with burnout, I think nutrition is just such a powerful form of self-care. So even just how we eat, sitting down to a meal, taking some time for yourself, that in and of itself is a form of self-care. And
Yep.
what you're choosing is probably going to be a little bit more mindful as well, how you're eating it, how you're digesting it. That's a big part of it as well.
Yep. And that is absolute key as well. Mindful eating. I was introduced to
Mhm.
that a few weeks ago, and I'm a foodie, and my husband and I sit down every evening and we have a beautiful dinner. That's what we do, and we talk and we eat mindfully with each other. But what I don't do is eat mindfully during the day.
Mm.
Um, and I'm running around shoving food in my mouth, and of course you're going to pick up the thing that has is easiest, which is often filled with sugar or something like that, and and that helps to fuel you, and you're not mindfully choosing what is right for you. When you actually sit down and look at it, you just go, wow, this is not going to serve me today. It's for and then so to eat mindfully is a great awareness, I think, that we have. And thank you for bringing that up, because that has been my focus in the last few weeks, to sit down at breakfast and not run around and do stuff.
Yeah, and it is important when you can do it, but I also want to take the pressure off that we have to like sit down and be mindful at every meal. Like you do
Okay.
that with your husband every night. It sounds like
Yeah.
it's part of your habit. You don't think about it that it's something new you have to do that takes effort. And so that's beautiful. And if you can do a breakfast like that. But there are those days and there are those lifestyles where you're
Yeah.
running around during the day and it's
Mhm.
important not to skip meals. So you want to nourish yourself. So maybe it doesn't always have to be so mindful, but maybe how can you better nourish yourself? So rather than grabbing on the go something high in sugar or high in salt, maybe you can have like a little bag of almonds that's pre-portioned, or little
Ah,
bags
yeah.
of trail mix, and you go to the store and you buy it in bulk, and then you have them, if you're in your car, if you're in your office, or if you in your purse, or things like that, where you can nourish yourself on the go. And it's so not about perfection. It's really about creating these little micro habits that bring you joy and make it easier on yourself and are forms of self-care, rather than kind of going back to that I'm not doing enough. I should be eating every meal mindfully
Yeah.
and eating a perfect. So that balance, I think, in taking the pressure off ourselves, but making it easier on ourselves however we can, is a key part of that healing process as well.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for adding that. That's so good, for not to have that one more on your to-do list. And so what sort of foods can help women from burnout? What are the ones that you found that have been so, like, sort of nourishing and really supportive for the body?
Yeah, so like I said, I have like 25 foods on those different categories.
Yep.
Overall, like if we just talk about some nutrients of concern for women in general, but then also playing into those particular ways we might be feeling, or depletion with burnout, things like vitamin D and
Hmm.
calcium and potassium. Dietary fiber, of course, is so important for our mood and our gut health, and then hydration,
Yep.
water, making sure we're staying properly hydrated, which can come from water, can also come from foods, can come from tea and things like grapes and different types of fruits that are high in water content. So incorporating those foods, and again, like more plant-based foods, and I go
Hmm.
more specific into different foods, but really just trying to focus on, I think, making sure you're getting enough fiber and protein at your meals
Okay.
and snacks is a simple way to start to make sure that your meals are balanced and they're fueling you in a healthy way. So, what that might look like is, for example, nuts innately have protein and fiber, or you could take a fruit that has fiber in it and couple it with a little bit of yogurt,
Okay.
or something that has some protein in it.
Okay, wonderful. Those are fantastic little tips that are really important, simple but yet so important. So thank you so much for that. And in your experience of talking to people, in helping people and getting feedback from your book, and probably doing probably some coaching and all these things, and talking to a lot of women, what is the what do most women kind of fall down on when it comes to burnout?
Mm. You mean that causes the burnout, or after the
Or what do
burnout
they
has?
or how do what do most women, I guess, for one of a better word, do wrong when it comes to burnout? Do they?
Ah, I think, well, when it comes to healing from burnout, I think it's thinking you're going to get out of it the way that you got into it, right? Which is
Okay.
doing more and pushing harder and doing it all yourself. And it's your responsibility to figure it out and get to a more balanced place. Whereas what you're doing here, Vanessa, is so beautiful because you're creating help for people, So I think the first step is just the awareness, and burnout's a gift because it's your body telling yourself, like, this is not joyful, this is not okay, we need to make a change, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
once you become aware of that, then what do you do with it? And I think, asking for help, getting resources. I actually, on my website, I have a list of 20 plus resources in terms
Okay.
of apps and
Yeah.
books and other things, and I moved that to the top of the list so people have that. There's even there's a quiz you can take to see if you're actually in burnout, at the top of that can be helpful. And then I think, just talking to people and finding those little micro habits that slowly get you back to you. For some people, I think, I don't know, you tell me your story. I don't know if there was a dramatic moment where, people might, suddenly quit their job or move or do a dramatic change or break up a relationship. And that can be a powerful step and an important step in their healing process. Or for some people, it can just be like awarenesses in those micro changes that slowly get them back to feeling more joy and creativity and in their own skin and all those things that really matter in life.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, my story was that I think it came about kind of gradually, and I saw myself almost like a third party, from a third party perspective, just struggling. And I
Yeah.
was just, thinking, oh, I'm fine, and I kept going on. But then I wasn't fine because my body
Yeah.
was telling me you're not fine. So I ended up having early menopause. I had joint issues, I had gut
Mhm.
issues, all kinds of things that happen with having a lot of stress and in that high level of the sort of activated state that we call it, that we're always in. And I could never rest. So that was kind of
Mhm.
my thing, but always felt kind of tired. So my husband used to get really get used to tease me and go, "Wow, you need 8 hours sleep, but you seem to not what you need to want more." That's the thing.
Mm.
And those were the kind of indicators. And I think the biggest indicator, the biggest aha moment for me
Mhm.
was when I was in a job that I loved, which was the science and being a malaria
Mhm.
scientist and doing drug discovery, that I would go to work and I wouldn't feel that joy anymore.
Mm.
And that I was interacting with some beautiful people in the world, immense talent, and I felt no joy in it anymore.
Mm.
And so that was when, and that all coupled with with all my health issues, I decided I was going to make a change. And I did, and I started with nutrition, and that
Mm.
really, really helped to, I guess, give me that boost to go to look for other things as well that would help me on my journey. And so
Mhm.
that's why I asked you, could you please have a chat with us, because to support ourselves eating first, and it doesn't have to be anything exciting, as you said. You just be mindful of simple things like fiber and protein, and
Mhm.
also saying, having that choice of, I choose now to to nourish myself. I choose now to self-care. And it could be as simple as you said, a 1 minute step, which is something simple today. I put my protein in my food, so I'm just going to have a whole lot of boiled eggs in the fridge. So I just grab one, chuck it in my cell, and I'm done.
Right, right. Yeah.
And that
And
made a huge difference.
yeah. So I don't know if if this is day 5, so you probably talked a lot about the difference between stress and burnout, but in case anyone's listening and
Yeah.
confused, stress is when you might be like overly connected and overly into every task at hand. You probably were a little stressed putting this conference together, right?
Yes.
But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's very meaningful, but it's just a lot of that push, 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 got to get this out and done. Burnout is when that has gone on so long that you just start to check out. You start
Yep.
to numb out. You're just going through the motions. Like you said, like you lost that feeling of joy from something that had brought you so much joy. And so when it comes to food and the healing process with food, it shouldn't be about, I'm cutting out all, sugar and sweets and alcohol and what I'm cutting out, or going on something strict because you want to immediately reset. It's what can you add in that's nourishing your body that feels really good, that
Right.
something you get excited about, like, so for me, it was like back to basics. Like every morning I had some oatmeal with some blueberries and a little bit of nut butter. And I love that. It feels wonderful. I say, good food should feel wonderful when you eat it and feel wonderful after you eat it. Right. Not that quick fix that, oh, this is great. And then you feel, lousy afterwards. I don't mean mentally, but just physically, it didn't sit well. So I think that's a key part of it, is treating yourself well with food in terms of bringing joy back in that way as well, and self-compassion and self-love.
Wow. Yep. That is key. The joy in having something and eating it and just really experiencing it. Yep. I love that. And so, with you've that with your nutrition and with now, and bringing this to the world, and your a beautiful book, what what are you doing now to, or because we're always, let's go help people even more, because now you've seen so the amazing benefits of what you have shared with the world, with other women. What are you doing now to help women from burnout? Do you have, I think we chatted about, new programs and stuff that you've been, you were talking about. You were really excited because you had talked to a whole lot of women, and you had discovered all these things that you could really go in there and really bring your expertise and your love into it.
Yeah, I don't even know. I just want to point out, I don't know, because I'm looking at you on my screen, and I don't know if my eyes look like they're looking off camera. But so if anyone's watching, my eyes look like I'm not looking directly
Oh, no,
ahead.
no. No, you're
But
good.
yes, so the book, those, going back to the toast and the toaster, where you've got your three. So
Yep.
the third one being personality type and overachiever. So I'm very thorough, that's part of, I think. So when I wrote the book, there's a lot of information in there and a lot of recipes. And so it's somewhat dense, in terms of like the different chapters and the different types of information. And that's great. I think it's a great base starting point. But now I'm saying, how do I help women use that on a very simple level? So it's like, how do we make it super simple on a daily level to build those habits? So rather than just coming up with an idea and throwing it out there, I actually talked to a lot of women, 30 some very successful women, to find out, what do they most need? And so the next phase for me is really kind of taking that and creating some courses. That'll be the next step, in products that really, or communications tools that really do those kind of like little micro habit type building, and food and nutrition and nourishing things on that micro habit level, where it's really simplified, and you enjoy it, and then you
Yep.
build from there.
Okay. Yep. No, that sounds fantastic. And I have a comment here from Kathy, who says, breakfast is easy for me. The evening meal is my issue.
Yeah. And that's great that she knows that. So part of this is, you have lack of energy. Where are you going to get the biggest return? Like, where's your biggest issue? So if she's saying, dinner is my issue, or the thing that I feel like out of control with, or not in sync with, I think that's the starting point, is great awareness. And then what do you do with that? So some ideas, I don't know exactly, what her goal is or what the challenge is. But it could be, again, like having certain staples on hand to pull something together quickly. Sometimes the issue with dinner is people are too hungry. They've been working, and then they come home and they're like famished and they're trying to get dinner on the table, and either they're eating too much as they're cooking or preparing something, or then they sit down and they eat too much and it doesn't feel good. So it might even be with some of my clients, it's like timing that snack between lunch and dinner, something simple that gives you that fiber and protein to hold your appetite and your blood sugar levels, really, so that you don't have, mood and other things going up and down, but really hold your blood sugar until dinner time. And then how do you create a dinner habit or ritual, whatever it is, that doesn't feel so effortless, but supports you and feels good?
Okay. That's fantastic. Thank you for...
I'm also a fan of cook once, eat twice, cook once, eat 3 times, make it easier on yourself. Anything you can do to make it easier. I love it when I open the fridge and there's like one of my favorite, like my salmon and roasted vegetables with my citrus miso sauce. And it's like right there from the day before, the night before. And you just like can even put it on some salads from like a bag salad, like anything you can do to just have delicious, nourishing food, but it's right there is great.
Yep. Oh, you just made my mouth salivate. So I'm going to show, but this is Patricia's website here. And, if you want to, if get in contact with her, to get her book is also on that site. There's also on Amazon. And also I have put that on our summit website page as well under books from speakers. And the website is there. Just click on it and you can just get her book straight away from there as well. So there's various ways of doing that. And I think you provided a bonus for us as well, and that's through your website.
Yes, so there's a bonus chapter in the book. As I mentioned in the book, there's the mood, immunity, focus, and sleep. And then there's an extra chapter on energy, foods for energy, about energy, lifestyle strategies. And so that's a bonus chapter on my book. If you sign up for my newsletter, you get that free. Also, if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll be the first to get information on the course I'll be developing that kind of breaks this down into those daily habits.
Wow. Yeah, that's really great. And I can't wait for that course to come out as well and to see how you're doing that and how you're really engaging people. That's very exciting from my point of view as well. So yeah, get in contact with Patricia. She's here to help you with what you need. And Patricia, I love to end our interviews because I just connect with you so beautifully and connect with this because we share this common passion on helping women in burnout. And what is the one thing you see yourself and you see your 8-year-old self just standing there and she's looking at you. She's having a moment. She could be sad. She could be joyful. She could be anything. You go up and whisper something in her ear. What would you say to her?
I would say you're enough and you're beautiful. And I share that because as a kid, particularly that age period, I was overweight. And the world treated me differently because of that. I started to believe certain things about myself because of that. I became a dietitian because of that. So wonderful journey from it. But I think part of that pushing was trying to prove my value. Trying to prove that so much of it is have value, and we all have innate value. It's not our job, it's not any other status symbol. It's we're all enough. And so
thank you. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today, Patricia. I really appreciate your insights. I've had a few aha moments myself, and this is a journey for all of us.
Yes.
And small steps at each point in time. So this is one of the small steps. And if this video really resonates with you and you know someone who this might help them, please feel free to share this video with them, because it's so important that we get this word out here, we get the conversations, we get the awareness, as what Patricia said, on these important issues that are affecting us subconsciously and in the world. And in this way, when we empower ourselves, we can fill our cup, we can overflow, and then from that overflow, we bring our beauty and our light to the world. But first, let's fill that up, and let's help you to do that. So thank you for joining us for the Energized Empowered Professional Women Summit. I'm Vanessa Mollard, and Patricia, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you for putting this together.
Thank you. Much love, guys. We'll see you soon.